Homelessness has many faces, and it is a face we are seeing more of these days. The causes may be different: addictions, mental illness, catastrophic financial issues, or the loss of employment. But the anguish and hopelessness is common to all that find themselves in these circumstances. Today, we are visiting with a ministry that not only helps with the day-to-day needs of food and shelter, but also offers programs helping the homeless to become self-sufficient and productive. And all of this is being done with Christ at the center.
Hey, I'm excited today to be here with Corey Bledsoe, Executive Director of ReCenter. Tell me a little bit about ReCenter and what do you guys do here?
Yeah, ReCenter Ministries is a ministry to men and women who are homeless. Our aim is to reconcile homeless and hurting people to God, family, and community by the power of Christ and in partnership with the local church. And the way that we do that is we have a drop-in program for women with children where they can come during the week and during the day. We have a 3-phased residential program for men, and we have some prevention programs over in southern Indiana for men, women, and families.
So where are we located?
We're in Louisville.
Okay.
We're in Louisville, 733 East Jefferson Street, so right here in downtown.
So you've got a location here in Louisville, but you also have a location in Indiana?
We do. We have a location in Jeffersonville, Indiana, right in downtown, over there across the river.
Same thing at both locations, or
A little different.
Okay.
So over here we have kind of our residential programming and some day services for the women with children. In Indiana, it's more counseling, community resources, classes, just kind of trying to help prevent someone from getting into homelessness, or if someone's in homelessness, how do we quickly help them get out of homelessness.
Now, we've kind of seen a big transition just in our area, and you and I had talked about this even before we got on camera. Corey had went to school in Atlanta, and I remember having an experience when I was in college. I went to Atlanta, and that was the first time I had ever seen the amount of homelessness at that level, like every street corner, you know. And in the late 90s in Louisville, I remember I might have been only asked for money one time, you know, and that might have been downtown on 4th Street. But now, I mean, if you're in the Walmart parking lot, every time you go to a VADEC, you've really seen an increase. Have you guys seen the effects that, seen that here? So.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've certainly seen an increase. I think it can be attributed to probably a myriad of factors, and one of those being kind of the opioid, drug addiction epidemic that we see all across the country is creating homelessness. I think homelessness is getting younger, and so we're seeing more and more 18 to 24-year-olds entering homelessness. I think some of it too is just visibility.
Yeah.
So I think in the city, homelessness may have been in pockets, maybe in camps, or maybe just in the shelters themselves.
Okay.
Not so much around the city and on the street corners, panhandling, those types of things. But I think just visibility has increased as well.
So at this particular location, we were talking about the day program that you guys do with women. You guys are one of the few that actually offer that. Kind of talk to our audience a little bit about what goes on there.
Yeah, it's a space open Monday through Friday from 8 to 2, and really it's just designed to meet the needs of women and women with young children in our community that are experiencing homelessness. And so these folks can come in, get a shower, they can do laundry, they can use the restroom, they can use us as a mailing address, and they can store baggage with us. And so this is what we would call our relief services. This is our base need, base services for women with children in the community.
Now that was one of the things I thought that was pretty neat. Like literally you can store your clothes and your bags bags here and leave them as a location, wash your clothes while they're here. And again, that time was from 8 until 2.
Yep.
There's things for your children to do while they're here.
There are.
Do you guys have like toiletries or things like that are available for people that are coming?
We do, yeah. Everything that anybody would need is going to be available to someone that comes through our doors.
So let me ask you about the ministry side of what you guys do. Tell me a little bit about what is available to people from that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I think we view everything that we do here as ministry. And so our intent, if we going back to kind of our mission, our declaration, is reconciliation to God first and foremost. And so that, for us as a gospel ministry, comes through a relationship with Jesus Christ. And so everything that we do is rooted in man and woman's chief need is a relationship with the Lord through the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ. And so everything permeates through that.
So tell me, I mean, success stories that you guys have seen here with folks that have come through your program.
Yeah, I think one that just comes to mind is in our Indiana side, we were counseling a wife whose husband was in our residential program in Louisville, and we were working with the local church that they were involved in, and what we saw was husband repenting and trusting Christ,
Wow.
reconciling with his wife, and then we saw the daughter repent and trust in Christ and become a believer, and then now all of them are now back in the home and attending a local body and really seeing that reconciliation come full circle.
So if somebody wanted to get involved, get in contact with you or do something here, how do they go through that? I mean, what's the process?
Yeah, there's a couple different channels they certainly can call. There's our website, ReCenterMinistries.org, reaching out to our Director of Community Relations, Hillary Bullock, who coordinates all of our volunteers. We can really just get someone plugged in any aspect of our ministry, whether it's in Indiana, whether it's in Louisville.
And I will say this, outside of it, it actually smells good. I smelled food everywhere. So we're right in that Nulu location.
Right in Nulu, yeah. And Nulu's been a great partner and great neighborhood, great area for us to be in. And so we're in a wonderful space. The Lord's been very kind to this ministry, and we've been here since 1963 through the graciousness of many partners and many churches throughout the community.
So the name ReCenter, that's the current name. You guys have another location, but you've been known by something else prior to ReCenter. Tell us a little bit about that.
Prior to ReCenter, we were Louisville Rescue Mission, and then prior to that, we operated as Jefferson Street Baptist Center. And so we've had a few names as of recent,
Yeah.
but we're hoping ReCenter Ministries will be our name for the foreseeable future.
So how do people find out about you guys, or how do they get involved? And I'm talking more about the people in the community. Are you out reaching out to them and bringing them in, or word of mouth?
Yeah, all of the above. So our programming draws people in that are in the community that are in need. Our relationships with local churches, businesses, others that know about us, and they come across someone as they're ministering in their community, they refer people in. And so it's really all of the above. And we partner and collaborate with other organizations doing work among homelessness, and we try to work with those entities too.
Well, one of the things that you guys do here, and I want to talk about in our next segment, is you have a 3-step program that's available for folks that are coming in. So literally you have entry level, you have next level, and then it's almost like graduation from the level. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back to discuss that. You know, one of the things that I was thinking, Corey, and a lot of people have on their minds is what actually gets a person to that point of homelessness, or what have you seen as being the leading causes of that?
It's an incredibly complex question. I think it's a variety of things. We talked a little bit earlier about addiction, so that certainly is a contributing factor. But there's just brokenness in folks' lives, and that brokenness, whether it's family, whether it's brokenness from the employment sector, whether it's again that addiction affecting that. I mean, I think that's a significant contributing factor. And then there's mental health. I mean, there's mental illness that's very real and present, and we see it. And that contributes significantly to homelessness as well. And so it's not every individual is different,
Yeah.
and so it's very complex, and I think that's why we look at it from a standpoint of God's created everybody in His image,
Yeah.
And we care and love in that way.
Now, when it comes to like the ratio of male to female, do you guys see more men in home that are homeless, or do you see more females coming through the door?
We see more men, and I would say it's probably around 75% men, 25% women is what we've seen.
What would you say was like a contributing factor to that, or is that just?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly why there's more men than there are women. I think sometimes women can be a little more resourceful, and create and take advantage of some opportunities. But the need is great for both, for both populations, and so we don't really know why, but that's just kind of been our experience.
Let me go back into like the mental illness and drug addiction. Do you kind of see those going together with each other, or is there a large? I mean, what would you say the percentage of people that are homeless deal with some kind of addiction?
Oh, I think dealing with some kind of addiction, I think it's fairly high. I would probably say somewhere between 85% to 90% of the people on the street probably have some history of addiction. If I were just, anecdotally assessing that, I do think mental illness and addiction do kind of go hand in hand oftentimes.
Okay.
And so usually when you're addressing addiction, at that point, sometimes the mental illness may come out in that process, and so now you're kind of approaching it from a different perspective too.
I'm sitting there like, thinking in my mind like a young person or something that's just starting to try drugs, and they're looking at a person who's on like the side of the street that's got something. They're like, well, that'll never be me.
That's right.
Because I don't have mental illness, but at some point that person that was there, they may have not had that illness at one point. That might have been a product of the drugs that they were taking to get to that point.
And there's also late stage mental illness that comes into to folks' lives and becomes a reality. I've worked with many folks who had incredibly productive lives for many decades, and then late in life, mental illness sort of became a reality for them, and struggle in a completely different way now. And it's very important for young folks who are experimenting with drugs or kind of living sort of that life right now to recognize that it's a powerful thing. Addiction's a powerful thing, and it can strip you of everything.
Now, let me ask this, because we're talking about addiction, and one of the things that you guys do here is recovery. There's a 3-step process that that happens when you come to ReCenter. Let's start with the first step.
Yeah, the first step, first phase is kind of an overnight style program. Men, it's our residential program is for men.
Okay.
Men check in at 7 p.m. And then they leave out of the facility at 6:30 a.m. From 7 until 10, which is when lights out. We do have a staff member that's trying to engage. This is what we would kind of consider partially relief, but also outreach.
Yeah.
So we're engaging with the 12 men that stay in the beds, and we're really trying to encourage them to take the next step into longer-term recovery.
Okay, so
longer-term care.
I'm sorry I cut you off on that, but they come in at 7. From 7 until 10, they can wash clothes, they can hang out, they can be engaged by somebody.
Yep.
There's ministry opportunities available there.
Yep, absolutely.
And then that's phase 1. During that time, the goal is to take them from phase 1 into phase 2.
That is the goal. Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about phase 2.
Phase 2 is usually a 90 to 120 day phase, and this is where we're really getting to the heart of the individual. And so we're doing biblical counseling, case management, work therapy, classes. Our classes can range from job preparation to financial management to biblical basics to healthy relationships and anger management, and I mean just a myriad of classes. And we're really, again, trying to speak to the heart of this person.
Right.
What are some of those contributing factors? How do we know what has happened in your past, and what is causing you to be in this situation today?
And you said it's 90 to 120 days. Are you providing, I guess it's residential, so they have basically a place to live here. You're providing meals.
We are.
So that's, I guess, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And
in that period, are they strictly here, or are they working, or what's happening?
So they're strictly here.
Okay.
There's different levels of freedom, I guess, that we give as somebody progresses through the program with respect to contact with family. Because our goal, again, in our mission is reconciliation with family. And so we want to try to begin to bridge and build some of those relationships back. But they're here. It's not a situation where they leave during the day, come and check in at night. This is where they live at that point. And that way we can best serve them and best work with them to try to help move forward.
And you're counseling people, many times they're dealing with addiction at that point,
Absolutely.
and you guys are helping them through that process.
Yeah, I would say about 95% of the men that come through our program have a history of addiction.
So what does that look like as you guys are walking through those steps with them?
Yeah, so it's individual counseling, individual case management, but then on Fridays, we have a partnership with Fairdale Christian Church, who actually comes, picks up our guys, takes them out to the church, and they do what's called Celebrate Recovery. So it's a Christian-based recovery program. Really has served our men well to give that more intense focus on what does addiction recovery look like for the believer, for the Christian. And it's really open to non-Christians and Christians alike, but it comes from a biblical worldview. So that's really served our program well.
Amazing. So phase 3, take me through that. So you've moved from that, you've done your 90 days, 120 days. You've graduated, you're in phase 3. What does it look like?
Yeah, so between the 90 and 120, you're going to find a job in the community.
Oh.
We have relationships with some employers, so if there's assistance that's needed to find that job, we're glad to help. Most of our guys, honestly, are skilled workers. They have trades, they have capabilities, and so finding a job is really not that difficult for them. And so they're working, and then we have 11 efficiency apartments at our site where our guys transition back there, and now we're building toward what does exit look like for you? What does reintegration into the community look like for you? We're still working toward reconciliation with the Lord if they're not a believer yet. We're still working toward reconciliation with family. But really at this point, we're looking toward that reconciliation with the community. You're working a job, you're taking care of any sort of barriers that you have to independent living. We're still counseling, we're still meeting in case management, but this is about how do we work with you to get back out into the community as a productive member of our community.
So I come in, phase 1, make it through phase 2, I've got the phase 3. How am I getting to my job? I mean, do you help them connect them with the bus line?
Yep.
Or?
Yeah, so a benefit of our ministry of being part of the local coalition for the homeless is TARC is just incredibly gracious, and so we're able to offer TARC passes, monthly passes at 50% of the cost. And so our guys are working, they can purchase a bus pass, and they get public transportation to their jobs. Now, a lot of our guys, which we're really encouraged by, as they're working, as they're getting stability, they actually go and buy cars.
Wow.
And so they're able to buy cars and be able to provide their own transportation at that point.
So one of the things you guys have is you have a thrift store. So that's one of the places that they can work. So we're going to transition from talking here and go and see what's going on at the thrift store. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm here with Stephanie, the store manager of Thrift and Thrive, a enterprise of ReCenter Ministries.
Yes, sir.
So tell me about your connection with ReCenter and what you guys do.
Okay, so we're a donation-based thrift store.
Yeah.
We service the men who are in the recovery program by bringing them out to do job therapy.
Okay.
All of our profits go back into ReCenter Ministries, and
So let me go back there.
Okay.
The men that go through the ReCenter ministries and they're in that process. This is an outreach of that. So this is where they come. You say work therapy. Explain what that means.
well, work therapy is when they're in their first 90 days of recovery, they'll come out here. They work in the donation area. They'll sort clothing.
Okay.
They do pricing. They clean the bathrooms. They sweep the floors. They intermingle with some of the customers.
Yeah.
So they do just about all of the jobs that we require out here.
One of the things that I just was blown away with when I walked in the door, and I said that to you, is it doesn't smell like a thrift store.
Right.
So I was like, it doesn't smell You know how you walk in, and you're like, there's the thrift store smell. Like you walk in here, and I'm like, this doesn't smell like a thrift store. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's one of the things we strive is to be a little bit different than your average thrift store. So our dishes are all washed and cleaned up.
Yeah.
Our electronics are all tested. Okay.
That is important.
Yes, it
'Cause
is.
A lot of those get
They-
tested when you get home and you find out
They
this
don't
is
work.
broke.
That's true. All the toys are cleaned. All the clothes are sanitized, just basically with Lysol. But it does take that mothball or that cigarette smell out when they come out on the floor.
So let's go back to the men that,
Okay.
that work here. Tell me about some of the success stories that you've seen in working directly with you.
Well, there's several guys who have come out here and worked. Enjoyed working here, would do anything. I'll call them my floaters,
Yeah.
so I can move them around into any position. And then they go on. We have one gentleman who is still and he's been out probably about a year now of the program, graduated, and he is still a manager at a local motel in the maintenance department.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then are a lot of those skills things that they would have learned
Definitely.
in helping?
Learned or honed. You know, a lot of things we work with is like teamwork.
Yeah.
You know, being able to work with someone that you may not necessarily get along with. Or being able
You
to.
might be able to help me with that. I'm just kidding. I love everybody. But go ahead.
But and the other, some of the other things we work on is honing the skills that they have.
Yeah.
You know, if they were in plumbing, then they can do that. Or if they prepared furniture, then we have an opportunity for that.
Wow.
You know, some of the guys just like to come out here to get away. If they're sitting back, what they call home, they're usually thinking about the past
Problems.
or problems and all those kind of things. And so getting out here, being active, doing things, communicating with other people.
Now, the clothes that were here, I heard you talk about vouchers. The men oftentimes, they can have vouchers. So a lot of the clothes that are here are clothes that they use
Yes.
to clothe themselves.
They have, they can come out here with a voucher. They're able to get shirts, shoes, pants, belts, anything that they need. Sometimes it's a light beside their bed or a Bible to read or a book to keep their mind busy. Some puzzles maybe, different things like that.
All right, so let's talk about where you guys are located. We're in the Bon Air neighborhood. If somebody was sitting at home and was like, where is that? How would you describe it?
I would describe it basically we're between Hikes Lane and Goldsmith.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with that area, off of Bardstown Road.
So where Thornton's and Goldsmith is, turn there and you guys will run into us.
Yes, sir.
And there's a library across
the street, definitely.
So
And we always usually say right next to the Dollar General. So.
Oh, the Dollar General is a good way to
Definitely.
Good way to describe it. Now, we were talking about, you know, the men that were here, and one of the needs that you were describing was men's clothing.
Yes.
Because a lot of the people that go through the program are actually men, and a lot of times us men don't like to get rid of our stuff that we're not wearing anymore.
You let it wear out.
We let it wear out.
Yeah.
But you were saying that that would be a definite need
Yes.
of donations. So other donations that you might think of that you guys would be in need of right now?
Probably infants and children's, young children is a low area sometimes, simply because with infants and children like that, you tend to pass it on to your neighbors or your cousins or your relatives and things like that.
So we're in that summer season, and this is yard sale season.
Yes, it is.
There's going to be a lot of things that you're not going to sell at your yard sale.
Right.
You guys are waiting here with open arms.
We are.
To receive it.
Yes, sir.
So infant clothing, men's clothing, women's clothing, we're receiving it all, right?
We are.
Even furniture.
We
Any other
definitely-
needs out there that I didn't
I
say?
can't think of anything right now.
How about volunteers?
Oh, yes, we can always use volunteers. We love to have volunteers. Our volunteers do anything as simple as sorting through the clothing to being a cashier. So we're looking for people who will do all kinds of things.
Well, you heard it right here from Stephanie. First, we're here at Thrift and Thrive. Come check them out. The money that you spend here is going to go to benefit ReCenter Ministries.
Yes.
How much of that money goes back to ReCenter Ministries?
All of our profits go back into ReCenter.
100% of the profits go back to ReCenter. A great outreach that you guys are. Thank you for watching.
We hope that you have enjoyed watching Go. If you would like more information on our featured guest, visit us online at wbna.com and click on the Go tab. Troy Miles can be contacted at go@wbna.com.